Go Go Loser Rangers Season 2 Episode 4. I honestly don't know where to begin with this episode because so much went down in this one episode, and the story arc doesn't seem like it's even over yet because we've still got to deal with the boss monster, and who knows how long that's going to take. And also, if the main antagonist of this season or of this core is going to be Green Keeper, then no doubt there's probably going to be a showdown with him. So we'll see what happens when he shows up on the scene. But holy smokes, I don't know where to begin with this episode because this episode we're still dealing with sort of the infinite time loop within the school where it resets every now and again, and things aren't looking good for our heroes. As last week's episode, Duster got kicked out of the illusion, so we had to find a way back in. He does find a way back in this episode when the detectives roll up and we get some really funny gags with the old man detective and the young detective. But not only that, you've got characters like Hisei or Cannon. I'll just call her Cannon, that's easy for me to pronounce. But you've got Cannon, she's slowly being inducted into this world and losing her memories, which is something that does happen to her in this episode where she kind of gives in to the illusion and she stops resisting. But not only that, we learn a lot about her backstory. And her backstory, once again, we've got another Ranger cadet or someone from the Ranger Force who was affected from, I guess, the boss monsters attacking all those years ago. And we kind of learn what her childhood was like, where she went to live with this foster family, she had this best friend, and then she had a talk with one of the other rangers that we saw ages ago. I forget their name, even though I just watched the episode like a couple of minutes ago. I think it's Saka, not Sakurama, Saka something, but it's the older cadet with like this sort of like the messy facial hair, that guy, the older guy who looks like too old to be a cadet, but he's a cadet, that guy. I believe that's who it was. But he shows up and you have this scene where Cannon's having a chat with him on the swing set, and there's this old man listening in, and after their conversation the old man approaches Cannon and her friend, and Cannon just beats the shit out of him to a pulp. Why? Well, because apparently this guy's a part of the Monster Protection Squad or the Monster Protection Association, which is, I don't know if that's been brought up before in the show before, but it looks like there's a group of people that sort of like fight for the rights of monsters in Go Go Loser Ranger, which is a fascinating organization because, again, it's sort of like that race thing going on in the world where we know that monsters exist, but if there's a Monster Protection Association, then where are the other monsters roaming around in this universe? Because if there are monsters, we just see the Dusters and stuff like that, but we haven't seen any like other Monster of the Weeks and stuff like that. So there's that. But yeah, Cannon beats the shit out of that guy, joins the Ranger Force, becomes like the youngest cadet in the Green Battalion to move up the ranks. We see when she made friends with Wakuba, who's the principal in this story arc, one of the antagonists, but also the mysterious lady that I also forgot her name, but she's got the grey hair. And we found out what happened to her all those years ago. It could be a lie, because Chidori was able to see through it, but it might have been a lie with what Wakuba did all those years ago. But apparently when they were at the school on a mission, she made this big heroic speech, and Wakuba said, oh, that's what a villain would say, only a villain would say that, and betrays her, which it sounds like it might have actually happened because you have this one scene where Duster finally confronts Wakuba and he takes on the appearance of that Green Battalion that died all those years ago, and he starts freaking out. So I get the feeling that with his reaction with what happened, I guess it's actually true. But this episode did have a lot of fun gags in it, like the younger detective guy, he's seen a lot of anime, so he knows what time loop's all about, so he feels like, oh, I've watched enough anime, I know what's going on. But then you have this one scene where they try breaking the rules so they can get a reset on it, but Gato shows up, and Gato begins bear hugging like Chidori and the detectives, all three of them. And the younger detective, this is like a really funny gag that caught me off gag, but he's like, luckily I've been watching a lot of boy love anime, and I know how to get out of this situation, and he gives him like a kiss that's like bigger than the Naruto and Sasuke kiss from like early Naruto, and it got a chuckle out of me because it caught me so off guard, but it was a lot of fun as well. Like, he's like, oh, I've watched a lot of boy love, I know how to get out of this, and it doesn't work, and it even pisses off Gato so much because he says like, oh, that was my first important kiss and you ruined it, so he begins like freaking out and punching out. But you have this scene between Duster or D and Wakuba where Hisui or Cannon, she keeps almost getting caught by the illusion, and there's a scene where she's almost going to die, but Duster shows up in the end to save the day, and a massive fight breaks out between the two of them where Wakaba is using the Defiant Artifact tool and just unable to control it, because even though like the Defiant Artifact tool is really dangerous and it can kill Dusters really easily, he's able to move around the place or even kill boss monsters easily, but Duster's able to outmaneuver everything because the guy can't aim because he's only got one eye, because like freaking D punches him right in the eye and it's really amazing. But we get a really cool fight scene between them. Kanon eventually comes to her senses, and then we get a really awesome team up between Dusty in the form of Sakurama and Gato, because Gato decides to form a truce with Sakurama to actually stop the rampage of Wakaba, because he says this is not the peaceful school that he wanted, and he's tired of being the middleman in between all of this and people getting hurt. So that was cool to see Gato turn into an ally by the end of this. But you have this really cool fight scene where Wakaba is outside of the school or outside of the building. He's got this massive orb around him, and you have this scene where they've got to stop it within a minute and they got to stop the reset. So once again, some amazing fight scenes. The CGI is a little bit wonky. You can see where it looks a little bit cheap when they're running up it here and there. But nah, that's aside the point. It was a really cool fight scene. I definitely got a kick out of it. But they're able to defeat Wakaba, and in the end, they're going to focus their attention on the boss monster. So that shows that Wakaba is not the boss monster, and there's another boss monster amongst them, which is hard to figure out who it is, because it's not Gato, because Gato was fighting Duster last week episode, so it wasn't him. He was in the same room as the boss monster. It wasn't Wakaba, because Wakaba, he would have got revealed to be the boss monster if he was defeated this week. But eyes are pointing around Chidori, because Chidori seems a little bit sus to the detectives, but I feel like it's not Chidori, because I think if it was Chidori, then I get the feeling then his cover would have been blown already. But if he's keeping up a good work being being sort of like undercover boss monster, then he's doing a good job. But we'll probably find out who the boss monster is next week, which I am curious to see who the twist is when it comes to the boss monster. So the post-credits scene of this episode is sort of the aftermath of the kaiju, and Keeper Red shows up and he's investigating it right now. So Red Keeper shows up and he's investigating with the little mascot that sounds like Goku, voiced by Masako Nozawa, which is a lot of fun to see her in other anime, because you don't see her in a lot of other different stuff here and there. But yeah, that was Go-Go Loser Ranger Season 2, Episode 4, or Episode 16, whatever you want to call it. Once again, this anime continues to blow me away. I know, like, I just recapped what happened, but this show continues to blow me away each week. Like, I love the characters, I love the story, I love to see where it's going, I love the world building. I'm definitely going to try picking up Go-Go Loser Ranger, the manga, once Season 2 ends, because like I dropped it like halfway through the recruitment arc because that felt weird to read volume to volume, but I'm definitely going to power through the other volumes I didn't read, or either pick up where Season 2 ends on to see where that goes. But Go-Go Loser Ranger continues to be peak and amazing, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next, that is for sure.